Claude Fable 5 by the numbers. Anthropic released Fable 5 on June 9, 2026, and the early benchmarks are striking. In the next few minutes, we cover how Fable 5 reportedly scores against GPT-5.5 and Claude Opus 4.8, what it costs to run, and exactly how to call it from the API. Let's get started. First, the benchmarks. Here is how Claude Fable 5 reportedly compares against the strongest rival models on 4 published benchmarks. On SWE-Bench Pro, a real-world software engineering benchmark, Fable 5 reportedly scores about 80.3%, ahead of Claude Opus 4.8 near 69% and GPT-5.5 around 59%. On spatial reasoning, Fable 5 reportedly reaches about 38.6%, more than double Claude Opus 4.8's roughly 14.5%. On a legal reasoning benchmark, Fable 5 reportedly scores about 13.3%, where GPT 5.5 lands near 2%. The absolute numbers are small, but the relative gap is large. On frontier code Diamond, the hardest coding tier, Fable 5 reportedly more than doubles Opus 4.8. Keep in mind that for safeguarded categories, real-world Fable 5 performance tracks closer to Opus 4.8. Next, what it costs. Fable 5 sits at a premium tier, but prompt caching changes the math. Claude Fable 5 is priced at $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output tokens, placing it in Anthropic's premium tier. That is exactly double Claude Opus 4.8, which runs at $5 input and $25 output per million tokens. So Fable 5 is a deliberate step up in cost. Prompt caching is the lever that changes the economics. Reusing cache context can cut input cost by up to about 90% on repeated calls. Cache hits and refreshes cost roughly $1 per million tokens. And if you need data residency, US-only inference is available at about 1.1 times the price. Finally, how to use it. Getting started takes one model string and an API key. To call the model, you pass the exact identifier Claude Fable 5 in your request. That single string is all that changes from a standard Claude API call. Fable 5 is available through the Claude API directly and also on Amazon Bedrock, Google Cloud Vertex AI, and Microsoft Foundry, so you can use whichever cloud you already run on. It ships with a 1 million token context window and accepts text, image, and file input, with reasoning support on the output side for harder tasks. To begin, grab an API key from the Claude console, select Claude Fable 5, and send your first request. Most existing Claude SDK code works with only the model name changed. Let us recap Claude Fable 5 by the numbers. On benchmarks, Fable 5 reportedly leads SWE-Bench Pro at roughly 80%, well ahead of GPT 5.5 and Opus 4.8. On pricing, it costs $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output, double Opus 4.8. Prompt caching is the key cost lever, cutting input cost by up to about 90% on repeated context. To use it, call the identifier Claude Fable 5 on the Claude API, Bedrock, Vertex AI, or Foundry. That is Claude Fable 5 by the numbers. Frontier coding scores, premium pricing softened by caching, and a simple Claude Fable 5 model string to get started. If this helped, subscribe for more model breakdowns. For more information, visit Standarity.com. See you in the next video.